She whispered, "It's just for networking. Don't make this awkward," then pretended we don't know each other. I said, "Okay," dropped her off at the party, and started packing my things that night. Days later, a call explained what she'd been telling people about. You know how sometimes you can tolerate something for so long that you forget it's not normal? That was me for 18 months, accepting little moments of disrespect because I thought that's just how relationships work when you come from different backgrounds. I'm Blake, 26M, electrician, grew up blue collar. My girlfriend Sable, 24F, works in social media management, went to college, runs with this crowd of trust fund kids who treat money like it's infinite. I never had a problem with that. Different worlds, whatever. But last weekend she said something that made me realize I'd been auditioning for her approval this whole time instead of just being myself. She got invited to this birthday party for Holland, one of her wealthy friends. Big house, catered everything. The kind of party where people take photos for Instagram instead of actually having fun. I drove her there in my truck, helped her with her dress, normal boyfriend stuff. But when we pulled into the circular driveway, she turned to me with this expression I'd never seen before. "Blake, I need to ask you something, and I hope you'll understand. This party is really important for my networking." I figured she was going to ask me to tone down the construction worker jokes or something. Instead, "These people don't really understand blue-collar work, and I need them to see me as a serious professional. Would it be okay if you just didn't mention what you do tonight? Maybe say you're in contracting?" That felt weird, but I thought about it. Okay, I guess. Actually, she was looking anywhere except at me. Would it be easier if we just went in separately? Like, we don't have to avoid each other, but maybe we don't need to be obviously together. I sat there processing what she'd just said. You want me to pretend I don't know you? It's not that dramatic. It's just, Holland's dad owns 3 marketing companies. These connections could change my career. I can't have them thinking I'm not ambitious because I'm dating. She trailed off. Because you're dating what, Sable? You know what I mean. But I didn't know, and that was the problem. I'd spent a year and a half thinking we were building something together while she was apparently managing her image around me. I thought about all the small comments that suddenly made sense. How she'd introduce me to her friends as Blake, without any context. How she'd suggest restaurants I couldn't afford, then pay my half with this long-suffering expression. How she'd make jokes about my rough hands like it was cute instead of proud. You know what, Sable? You're absolutely right. It would be easier. Really. Thank you for understanding. No problem. Have a great time at your party. I put the truck in reverse and started backing out. Her panic was immediate. Blake, what are you doing? You can't just leave me here. Sure I can. You wanted to go separately. This is me going separately. That's not what I meant. Call Holland. I'm sure her dad's marketing empire can afford an Uber. I drove straight home and started packing. Every tool I'd left at her place, every piece of clothing, the phone charger I'd bought for her nightstand, all of it went into boxes while I thought about how many times I'd felt like I was apologizing for who I was instead of being appreciated for it. Cole came over to help me load everything into my truck. He'd been telling me for months that Sable treated me like convenient help instead of a partner. I hadn't wanted to hear it then. You finally figured it out, he said, hefting a box of my work shirts. Figured what out? That she's been embarrassed by you this whole time. Just took you a while to see it. She's been calling non-stop since Saturday night. Apologizing, saying she didn't mean it how it sounded, promising she'll introduce me properly next time. But there isn't going to be a next time. I'm not going to spend my life with someone who thinks loving me is something she has to hide. If dating an electrician is embarrassing for her career, she can find someone more suitable for her image. Cole's letting me stay at his place while I look for an apartment. For the first time in months, I'm not wondering if I'm good enough. I'm wondering why I ever thought she was. Update. She called Cole's shop this morning claiming it was an emergency. The emergency was that she needed someone to pick her up from the party because Holland and her networking contacts apparently don't give rides to people they've spent 3 hours ignoring. Still not my problem. Update 1. Wi-Fi was down all week at Cole's place. Just got it sorted. Sorry for the delay. Sable has been blowing up every number she can find. My phone, Cole's phone, even called my work claiming to be my emergency contact. My boss Graham, who doesn't mess around, told her that if it was a real emergency, she should call 911. The calls started with standard apologies. She misunderstood how it would sound. She was just nervous about work stuff. She'd never ask me to hide who I am again. When I didn't respond, they escalated to crying voicemails about how much she values our relationship and how she was just overwhelmed by career pressure. But then Tuesday happened, and everything clicked into place. I was wrapping up a job at this medical complex when an unknown number called. Almost didn't answer, but something told me to pick up. "Blake, thank God you answered. I've been trying to reach you." It was Tessa, Sable's younger sister. I'd met her maybe 4 times. She's a nurse, completely different energy than Sable. Never made me feel like I needed to explain myself. "Hey Tessa, everything okay? Can we meet for coffee? I need to talk to you about Sable." We met at this 24-hour diner near the hospital where she works 3rd shift. She looked exhausted, like she'd been dealing with family drama all week. "I'm going to be straight with you," she said. "What my sister did was completely wrong. But there's stuff you need to know about how she operates in relationships. Turns out I wasn't Sable's first blue-collar boyfriend. There was Marcus, a mechanic she dated for 8 months, but never brought around her college friends. Before him, James, who did construction and got the exact same treatment. Tessa said Sable has this pattern where she finds guys who are reliable and supportive, then compartmentalizes them when it doesn't fit her social media image. She loves having someone who handles everything practical, Tessa explained. Car maintenance, fixing stuff, emotional support. But the second she thinks it might hurt her networking, she acts like you're disposable. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because you're the first one who actually left. Marcus and James both tried harder to fit in, changed themselves to make her comfortable. You had enough self-respect to walk away." That's when she told me how completely Sable's life had fallen apart since Saturday. See, I'd been handling more of her adult responsibilities than I realized. Bill reminders, car maintenance schedules, tech support when her laptop crashed. I was the one who set up her automatic payments because she's terrible with money management. Tessa said Sable called her Wednesday night crying because her car had been towed. Apparently she'd racked up 3 parking tickets that I usually would have reminded her to pay before they went to collections. She had this perfect setup, Tessa said, all the benefits of a stable relationship without having to actually respect you as a partner. But here's what really got me. Tessa said that at family dinners, Sable would complain about how I was possessive about her social life. She made it sound like I was constantly demanding to meet her friends because I was insecure about my education level. "Blake, she told our parents you were pressuring her to integrate your lives because you couldn't handle her being independent." I stared at her across the table. In reality, I'd actively encouraged Sable to maintain her own friendships. Half the time when she asked me to come out with her crew, I'd suggest she go alone because I was tired and wanted to stay in. "She's been rewriting your entire relationship," Tessa continued, "making you sound like the problem while she treats you like a service provider." That conversation changed everything for me. I wasn't going crazy. Sable really had been managing our relationship like I was background support for her actual life. Tessa apologized for her sister and said she hoped I'd find someone who appreciated what I brought to a relationship instead of hiding it. When I got back to Cole's, I had 12 new messages from Sable. Deleted everyone without reading them. Cole handed me a beer and said something I'll never forget. "A woman who's embarrassed by you in public is gonna resent you in private too. Count yourself lucky you found out now." He was right. I'd been trying so hard to be understanding about our different backgrounds that I missed how she was actually treating me. Edit. Tessa mentioned that Sable asked their parents for money this week to cover bills she can't afford now that I'm not helping. Their dad asked what happened to that electrician she was so happy with. Apparently that conversation didn't go well for Sable. Update 2. Sorry for the delay. Work has been crazy and honestly, I needed time to process everything that's happened. Remember how worried Sable was about impressing Holland and her trust fund crowd? Well, life has this way of showing you who people really are when things get tough. Last Wednesday, Cole overheard something at the auto parts store that made me see red. He was buying brake pads when these 2 guys behind him started talking about some chick who's been telling everyone her handyman thinks they're dating. One of them was Derek, who apparently works with Holland's boyfriend. According to what Cole heard, Sable had been telling people for months that I was just this guy she knows who does work around her apartment sometimes. Not her boyfriend of 18 months. Not someone she was in a relationship with. Just some blue-collar guy who had the wrong idea about what we were. Cole waited by his truck until Derek came out, then introduced himself as my best friend and asked for clarification. Derek, having no idea he was talking to the wrong person, told him everything. Sable had been playing up this story where I was some contractor who helped her with stuff and got confused about boundaries. She said he's sweet but doesn't understand that just because you pay someone for work doesn't mean you're dating, Derek told Cole. 18 months together, meeting her family, planning a vacation for this summer, and she's telling people I'm a confused handyman who can't take a hint. I was ready to drive over and confront her, but Cole talked me down. Let her dig her own grave, Blake. Just wait and watch. He was right to stop me, because karma was already at work. That Friday, Sable's transmission went out on I-75 during rush hour. In the past, I would have dropped everything to come get her, arranged the tow, handled everything while she stressed about the inconvenience. This time, she called Holland for help. Holland's response? Oh no, that's awful. Can you call ALDA? No offer to come get her. No offer to help coordinate anything. Just sympathy and a suggestion to handle it herself. Tessa told me Sable sat on the side of the highway for 4 hours waiting for a tow truck, then had to take a $50 Uber ride home because none of her networking contacts could be bothered. But the real test came this Tuesday. Their dad had chest pains at work and ended up in the emergency room. False alarm, thank God, but Sable was having a panic attack and couldn't drive herself to the hospital. She called Holland first. Yoga class, couldn't leave. Called 3 other people from her social circle. All busy, all with excuses. Finally called Tessa, who was already at the hospital since she works there. Blake, Tessa said when she called me that night. She asked me to call you. She wanted to know if you'd come get her during the emergency. What did you tell her? I told her that you don't get to treat someone like they're embarrassing and then expect them to drop everything when you need help. I felt bad for about 30 seconds. Their dad has always been decent to me, always treated my work with respect, but Sable made her choice about what kind of support system she wanted. She chose networking over loyalty. But here's where things get complicated. Tessa and I have been talking more since all this started, and I've been getting to know the family member who actually has her priorities straight. We've met for coffee 3 times now, and there's definitely something building between us. She's got this quiet strength that I find incredible. Never makes me feel like I need to apologize for who I am. When I mentioned looking for my own apartment, she said she was thinking about moving out of her shared place too because her roommate situation had gotten weird. You know, she said last Saturday after we'd spent 2 hours just talking, I always thought Sable was an idiot for not appreciating what she had with you. The attraction is mutual, and we're both adults, but Tessa's been hesitant about taking things further because of the family situation. If we do this, she said, it's going to cause a lot of drama. Sable's going to lose her mind when she finds out. Are you okay with that? Honestly, I've watched her treat good people badly for years. Maybe it's time she faced some consequences. We decided to take things slow but not hide anything. If people ask, we'll be honest about what's happening. Meanwhile, Sable's been texting me about working things out and wanting to explain everything. Last message was asking if I wanted to get dinner and talk. I showed Tessa the text. She laughed and said, "Tell her you're busy with handyman work." I didn't respond at all. Edit. Cole hired me to do all the electrical work for his shop expansion. Turns out there's real money in working with people who respect what you do instead of hiding it. Also, Sable drove by the shop yesterday and sat across the street for about 10 minutes. Cole went out and waved at her. She drove off immediately. Final update. All right. Final update because this whole thing reached a conclusion I never could have predicted. So Tessa and I have been together officially for about 4 months now. We found a house to rent together. 2 bedrooms, garage where I can work on projects, everything I was looking for, and I'm not walking on eggshells wondering if I'm good enough. She makes it clear every day that she's choosing me. Work has been incredible. Graham promoted me to supervisor after seeing how I handled Cole's shop expansion. Turns out he'd been looking for someone he could trust with the bigger commercial contracts. The pay raise means I'm actually building savings instead of subsidizing someone else's lifestyle. But the real story here is what happened when Sable found out about Tessa and me. And honestly, the family drama that followed showed me exactly what kind of people I'm dealing with. Sable found out about us in the worst possible way. She showed up at Tessa's old apartment 3 weeks ago, wanting to reconcile and needing her sister's support. Instead, she found Tessa packing boxes with my help and me clearly comfortable in a space that wasn't mine. "What the hell is this?" was her opening line. "Blake's helping me move," Tessa said calmly. "Move where?" "We got a place together." The meltdown was immediate and spectacular, screaming about betrayal, about how Tessa had stolen her boyfriend, about how this was all some conspiracy against her. I tried to leave and let them handle it as sisters, but Sable turned on me. "You're pathetic," she screamed. "You couldn't handle being rejected, so you went after my sister? This is some sick revenge fantasy." That's when Tessa shut it down completely. "Blake didn't go after me," she said. "I went after him. Because I watched you treat a good man like garbage for 18 months, and I was smart enough to see his worth. He's an electrician, Tessa. Yeah, and he's also kind, reliable, hard-working, and loyal. Everything you couldn't appreciate. The fight escalated until neighbors called the cops. Not because of violence, just because of the noise. That's when their parents got involved. Here's what I didn't expect. Their parents took Tessa's side. Completely. Their dad pulled me aside after family dinner last week and apologized for Sable's behavior. "I always liked you, Blake. You were good to our daughter, and she threw it away for reasons I'll never understand." Their mom was even more direct. "Sable has a pattern of using people and then discarding them when they become inconvenient. Tessa is the one with sense." The family dynamics shifted completely. Sable moved back in with their parents after her financial situation collapsed, but she's basically been living like a teenager again. Curfews, restrictions, constant criticism about her choices. Meanwhile, Tessa and I get invited to family barbecues and asked about our future plans. Holland and her trust fund crowd completely disappeared when Sable couldn't keep up with their lifestyle anymore. Her social media management business lost 3 major clients because she was too distracted by personal drama to maintain their content schedules. But here's the part that really shows how little she learned from any of this. Last month, Sable tried one final manipulation attempt. She showed up at Cole's shop while I was working on the new electrical panel installation. "Blake, I need to talk to you. This whole thing with my sister, it's not real for you, is it? You're just trying to hurt me." "No, Sable. I'm trying to build a life with someone who respects me. She doesn't understand you like I do. We have history." "Yeah, we do. You asked me to pretend I didn't know you, so I made it permanent." Tessa was pulling up in her car just as this conversation was happening. She got out, walked over, and kissed me in front of her sister. Not to make a point, just because that's what we do when we see each other. "Hey babe," she said, "ready for lunch?" Sable stood there watching us be naturally affectionate, the kind of easy partnership she never wanted with me, and I think that's when it finally hit her what she'd lost. "This is fucked up," she said. "No," Tessa replied. "This is what it looks like when someone is proud to be with you." Sable hasn't contacted either of us since then. I'm not angry anymore. I actually feel sorry for her. She had someone who genuinely cared about her future, supported her goals even when they made me feel invisible, and she traded it all for the approval of people who abandoned her the moment she became inconvenient. But that experience taught me something crucial about knowing your own worth. The right person doesn't make you audition for their love. They just choose you, exactly as you are. Tessa and I are talking about buying this house when the lease is up. Graham thinks I should consider starting my own electrical contracting business in a couple years. Life feels like it's building towards something instead of just surviving from day to day. And Sable? Last I heard, she's back on dating apps looking for financially stable men. Apparently, pretending I didn't exist made me disappear from her life for real. Sometimes the best revenge is just being genuinely happy with someone who sees your worth.